One of the greatest mysteries of planet Earth in the modern day era was our epic loss of ice in 2627. You can see by almost all the graphs that we show you and have showed you throughout the years depict that our greatest gains in ice happened when we came out of solar minimum. And our largest loss of ice typically were happening as we came out of solar maximums. Solar minimums happened pretty much during the middle of the decades. And so imagine our surprise coming out of 2001 solar maximum, and we had a slightly decrease in ice and expecting an increase in ice during the solar minimum, and yet we have the largest loss of ice that we have ever seen, ever recorded on the planet in 2627. Of course, this epic loss of ice created so much controversy, and now it kind of gets shoved underneath the rug because there was no spike in carbon dioxide that would correspond to this sudden loss of ice during a time when it should have been gaining. So if it would have remained flat during solar minimum, it would have represented a loss of ice because it was supposed to have gained. Instead, it was epic disappearance of ice. When we go to the solar radiation, which is our number one culprit that we would expect, and we don't see anything going on in 2627 that would account for a high irradiance causing such loss of ice. And so that's why we theorized it was methane. Methane is kind of subjective. Is it the heat causing methane or the methane causing the heat? And we saw in 2627 a spike in methane, and so the only thing that we could see could attribute to that loss was methane. And you can see by the fluctuations through summer and winter, methane is very dependent upon temp. But then came this study, showed you a direct correlation of helium, not from the sun, of interplanetary helium affecting our climate. It's right here, and it got buried in plain sight. Now, many different instruments have measured this helium at different spots. These are the most typical and most commonly referred to satellites and instruments that have measured the helium. There's a focusing cone on the December side of the sun. It comes in on the July, June, May side of the sun, and so we pass. You can see where we pass through the edges of this helium cloud, and the densities do go up on the edges, much like when you sweep a broom and you have an increase in particle on the edges. And this galactic cosmic rays were specifically attributed specifically to the helium by more than one scientist. Now, those scientists came under attack, and they've kind of gone into obscurity. If they're even still living, I'm afraid to even look. But the bottom line was a direct correlation was made. It wasn't even a theory, but a lot of it got hidden in plain sight, and there were addendums put on this man's article regarding the temperature increase on Earth and Mars, related specifically to one thing, helium. In 2006 and 2007, we experienced one of the largest increase in helium nucleons coming from the ICR, and that stands for Interplanetary Cosmic Rays. Now, helium is heating the solar system, and since then, it had never, ever been talked about. Quick, the discussion changed to carbon dioxide, and how quickly the article written back in the 90s got buried until we brought it back to the forefront. And it's right here. I mean, this has huge implications. Right here, an article tying the wind of Planet X to the climates of the Earth and Mars. It's right here. I'll post the link. And finally, we have an answer to where all the ice went during its solar minimum of 26-27, when we supposedly had some of the lowest sunspots of the century. Another mystery of the universe solved again.